Well, I am so happy to be here with you, Jackie from Ask Jackie. And if you are here watching, you probably want to improve your English in 2025. So, Jackie, could you just take a moment to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Jackie. A lot of people call me Ask Jackie or Asky or a combination of the two. I'm originally from Chicago, which is not too far
Nice.
from where you grew up.
Yes.
And I've been teaching English for the past, oh my goodness, how many years now? 15 to 20 years.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, yeah. And I have a YouTube channel, an online course, and I specifically focus on teaching English to Brazilian Portuguese speakers or Portuguese speakers in
I
general.
love that. I love that. I'll be sure to leave the link to your website below in the
You.
description box. Yes.
Yeah.
So you maybe have seen English. English hasn't changed, but the way people have learned, well, English has changed, I guess. Words, new slang, and things like that. The language evolves over time. And I'm sure you've seen the transition with the internet and technology and apps and AI. What do you think is the best way to learn English in 2025?
So I'm glad you brought up the all the apps and everything because I do think that with all the technology, we have a lot of advantages that we didn't have in the past.
Hmm.
However, because things can be translated so easily, it also can create a bit of a crutch or something that
Hmm.
helps us in that moment, but hurts us in the long term. I think one of the things that has improved greatly is just our contact with the
Hmm.
target language, the language that we're learning. You can have conversations with people. You can watch movies. You can listen to music. You can literally create an immersion in that language so easily. And I know back in 2009, when I was first
Yeah.
learning, or 2008, when I was trying to learn Portuguese, um, there was nothing really. There,
Yeah.
I would go to the Portuguese school that I was taking classes at, and I would borrow like the DVDs of Brazilian
Oh
movies
my
because
goodness.
there was just nothing on TV that I could watch in Portuguese,
Yeah.
and you just had to put in more effort
Hmm.
to really
Hmm.
immerse yourself in the language. Um, but on the other hand, what I've noticed with a lot of people who live here in the US or even Americans or English speakers that live abroad, they use these translating apps, which
Hmm.
are helpful at the moment,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
then they become dependent on the translating apps. And then they
Yeah.
never really learn to communicate on their own without it. And
Hmm.
looking back, I didn't have that option. There were no
Yeah.
translating apps when I was
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah.
I didn't even have internet on my phone. It was like the
Yeah.
click phone
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Totally.
so it was really hard and really frustrating, and you kind of suffer more when you don't have all those tools. But
Hmm.
in the long run, it really forced me to learn the language because I had to rely on myself. I couldn't
Yeah.
just go to my phone and look up a word or speak something and have it translated into the other language. So it's that
Well, what do you,
piece.
I get that for sure. What do you think about there being almost too much information now? I mean, we're bombarded everywhere. Like, even when people are watching this YouTube video, they probably have the option on the side of suggested videos, and maybe they didn't even make it in this far to our video because you
Right.
get so distracted and like, maybe this
Yes.
one will help me, maybe this one. I mean, some people don't even make it through a 1 minute reel that's
Right.
teaching English. So, how do you think people can effectively learn and stay focused and not be distracted by the mass quantity of content that's now out there?
Yeah. And that's huge. I suffer from that as
Yeah,
well. It's like,
everyone
ooh,
does.
this looks
Yeah.
good. Um,
Yes.
I think the first step is just being aware. Like,
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
easily distracted, so I need to do some things to prevent these distractions. I do think the decision making fatigue is real when we have to
Yeah.
decide what to study. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
all those options overwhelm us and we just
Mm-hmm.
do nothing. That's why I do think following a book or taking a course is so helpful, because it just takes out that decision-making process. You
Yeah.
just buy the course or buy the book and you literally follow along. And
Yes.
if there's some other things on the side you want to do, like if you're studying a lesson on prepositions and you want to go to YouTube and find some more lessons on that, you can do that. But that, like, not knowing where to start or not knowing
Mm-hmm.
what to do
Mm-hmm.
is really what I think paralyzes people from taking any
Yes.
action. So
Yes. That's really good. I remember I have a friend, Luca Lampariello. He's a polyglot. He speaks 15 languages. And one of his biggest tips is to stick to one or two resources and finish it. Like you said, stick to the course, stick to the book, finish it, and then go on to something else. Because you'll have a level of satisfaction when you complete something instead
yeah,
of just even watching a full YouTube video. When I watch a 30-minute video in Turkish, I feel very accomplished. When
yes,
I only watch 5 minutes of it, I feel like, oh man, So I
so
think it's
true.
good to finish, to stick to these things and to learn that way. I think it's very, very satisfying.
I love that. And it just reminded me of all the unfinished books I have on my Kindle. I'm like, I need to finish
2025.
this book before I start a new one and not be doing
Yes.
100 things at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
That is. What do you think about AI and like speaking with AI, learning with AI? What are your thoughts on that?
Um, I mean, AI is here and I don't think it's going away anywhere. And I
No.
think it is a tool that can be tremendously helpful.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think it can replace like real human connection.
No.
So I think we can use AI, like if people have severe social anxiety and they're really afraid
Hmm.
of talking with other people, maybe they feel
Hmm.
more comfortable talking to
Hmm.
AI, knowing that it's not
Yeah.
a real person that's judging them. It's just a basically like a robot.
Yeah.
Um, and I do think there are some advantages just to help
Hmm.
you feel more comfortable, just to practice the speaking.
Hmm.
What I
Hmm.
have noticed is that it's not like 100% accurate at
Yes.
giving you, corrections and feedback and things like that. But
Hmm.
even a human may not be 100% accurate. So I think
Yeah.
you have to look at it as this is just a way for me to practice, but don't get
Hmm.
so caught up on like the score it gives you or how perfect your, pronunciation of this word was. Cause then I don't know. I think it can become a bit of a distraction. Just use it to practice, enjoy it,
Hmm.
and also use
Yeah.
it as like maybe a bridge so that you feel more confident
Yeah.
when you talk to people in real life. Because at the
That's
end of the
really
day,
good.
our goal with learning a language is not to communicate with AI. At least for
Hmm.
me, I would assume
Yeah. No,
most
for
people.
me either.
Like, I want to
Yes.
talk to like other people. I want to work in this language. I want to be
Yes.
independent in this language. So we have to, everything we do, it has to prepare us for whatever our life goals are.
Hmm. And I would say that if you really love AI and love practicing with it, go for it. But if you
Yeah.
don't like it, don't force yourself to do it. Meet with a
Right.
tutor, find a friend, find a language partner. Just try to follow what you like because that will help make the language learning journey so much more enjoyable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What should be included in a self-made language learning plan?
So I think first, like if a person were to start out saying, I want to learn this language, it really
Hmm.
depends on what level they're starting at. Like
Yeah.
a beginner would probably have a very different plan than someone that has a
Hmm.
upper intermediate or advanced level. But I
Hmm.
think in order to learn any language, you need to, like we mentioned, you need to study. You need to study the phonetics. You need to memorize,
Yes.
vocabulary. You need to learn how to structure sentences. And these are really,
Hmm.
it's just like giving you the formulas so
Hmm.
that you can be
Hmm.
independent. And
Hmm.
to me, it's so much more freeing when you know how to conjugate the verbs, you know how to structure the sentences, because then you're not just memorizing and repeating
Mm-hmm.
phrases like a
Mm-hmm.
parrot. You
Mm-hmm.
have the formula and you
Yeah.
know how to use it so that you can express yourself the way that you want to express yourself and how you would
Yeah.
speak, possibly even in your
Mm-hmm.
own language. But learning all that is great, but it's definitely not enough. You have to
Mm-hmm.
really immerse yourself with a lot of
Mm-hmm.
input, comprehensible input. You
Yes.
have to
Yes.
listen to the language a lot and always,
A lot.
push yourself so that
Mm-hmm.
you're, you know, not it's not too easy for you. And then the output, speaking it, you
Mm-hmm.
have to practice
Mm-hmm.
it. You can do it just by listening and repeating because it is a physical practice, just
Yeah.
like learning how to type or swim
Mm-hmm.
or,
Mm-hmm.
play the piano. It's something, there's like a muscle memory to it.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
have to physically practice and
Mm-hmm.
then, also practice with other people because that's where you get the relationships and the connections and that emotional part of it happens, which is, I think that's the best part of it is when you're like
Yeah.
creating your life in that language.
Yes. That's so good. What about an absolute beginner? Do you think they can learn with just English content, or do you think it'd be better to find content in their native language and English? What do you think is the best way for someone that is just starting out?
A beginner, I think you need to have your native language. Like, I
Hmm.
can't imagine learning Mandarin or Greek
I
without the
know. I
support
know.
of a language that I speak because it's
Yeah.
just too difficult and too frustrating. And I do think
Yeah.
using your native language is incredibly helpful, especially for
Hmm.
beginners and even intermediate and at times even advanced speakers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could say this means this, and
Hmm.
and it's just like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, I got it. Or this is a slang expression that's comparable to this slang expression in your native
Hmm.
language. And it
Hmm.
just is like a quick, fast connection. So
Yeah.
I am a proponent of using your native language,
Yeah.
especially in those beginning stages.
Hmm.
However, however, if
Yeah.
people feel like they are in that translation trap where they're like,
Hmm.
a ping pong ball, like
Yeah.
English, English,
Yeah.
Portuguese, English, they're like constantly thinking in their native language before speaking,
Yeah.
which happens. It
Hmm.
definitely happens, but
Hmm.
that's a sign that you need to increase your input
Mm.
and stop translating a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's like different stages. At the beginning, we have to translate, we have to use our native
Hmm.
language. That's how we make
Hmm.
connections.
Hmm. Hmm.
But then over
Hmm.
time, we pull away from it. So
Hmm.
I know, like, I always use myself as an example with Portuguese. Like, I don't think in English before I speak in Portuguese. It's
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
a
Hmm.
switch flips.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
sometimes they call that code switching. So sometimes you'll even say
Yeah.
like one word in Portuguese and then the words that follow end up being in Portuguese because you like flip that switch
So
unintentionally.
interesting. Yeah.
But for it to get to that state, you have to really kind of stop translating or stop
Hmm.
thinking in English a little bit, immerse yourself in the target
Hmm.
language. In my case, it was Portuguese. And
Yes.
then eventually you just start speaking in that language and you're saying things that you like kind of subconsciously think sound right or they just
Hmm.
feel
Hmm.
right, but you don't
Yeah.
know exactly why.
Yes.
And and that's because you've had a lot of contact with the language.
Yeah, that's really good. I feel that now with Turkish. My teacher will ask me, and why do we conjugate it like that? And I don't know because
Right.
I haven't learned that grammar concept yet, but I know it because I've heard it through so much
Yes.
input. So
Yes.
that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
People always ask about speaking. How can I improve my speaking? I don't have a speaking partner. I mean, we mentioned the AI apps. Do you have any other ideas for people to develop their speaking?
You can speak on your own just by reading
Hmm.
out loud. One thing I always gently force my students to do is to create a WhatsApp group just with
Yeah.
themselves and every
Okay.
day hit record and just talk.
Wow.
So at the
Wow.
beginning, you can, if you're a beginner student, you can just say the words you know, like
Yes.
yellow, cats,
Hello.
dog, whatever.
Yeah.
Or you can pull up a picture and describe the picture. You can talk about your
Mm-hmm.
day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the content really doesn't matter. It's just that
Yeah.
forced physical practice of talking on your own. And what's really cool is when you record it, as uncomfortable as it is to go back and
Yes.
listen to it, it's a way that you can track your progress. And a lot of times
Yeah.
when we're speaking, we're so focused on the content, we're not really paying attention, to our pronunciation or to our
Mm-hmm.
intonation, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually
Mm-hmm.
go back and listen to it, and you'll be able to self-correct a lot of
Yeah.
things. Like
Yeah.
almost always, if I tell someone, okay, you said this, what was the mistake? They're like, oh, I know, it
Yeah.
was this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like a log of your journey that you can
Mm-hmm.
do on your own. I think
Mm-hmm.
shadowing is really, really helpful with any content. You can do it
Yeah.
while listening to
Yeah.
the radio. I catch myself. I
Mm-hmm.
listen to the radio in Spanish all the time. And
Nice.
I'll like repeat
Nice.
what I hear. The radio announcer, he'll say like the name of the station, and I'll just like repeat it
Yeah.
out loud, copying
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
intonation.
Yeah.
And then just speaking with people, we have to overcome that fear.
Mm-hmm.
You could take
Mm-hmm.
classes, like pay someone, because then you might feel
Mm-hmm.
more comfortable. You
Mm-hmm.
can find a language partner, like I know you have done.
Yes.
Find groups of people. You can
Mm-hmm.
volunteer with
Mm-hmm.
people
Mm-hmm.
who might speak that language. Just have
Yeah.
to realize life is too short to be
Mm-hmm.
like afraid of people's judgment or whatever's holding you
Yeah.
back. So just
Yeah.
go out there.
That's really good. You shared a lot of great ideas. I should start the WhatsApp group with myself
Yes.
for my Turkish. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never done that, but it would be fun.
It's something I
Yeah.
regret not doing when I was learning a
Yeah.
language. I wish I had more of
Yeah.
like a diary, like tracking my
Mm-hmm.
progress.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because we often just see people's success stories and we don't see them in the midst of the struggle,
Right.
years of struggling and studying and trying to learn and failing. We usually don't see that side of things.
Right, right. And what's different is like a weight loss transformation or something. You can see like before, after, like language, you
Yes.
can't really see it unless someone is documenting it. You can see like, this is
Yeah.
me speaking, 2 years
Yeah.
ago. And here I am now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. What about somebody who's like, I need to learn English. I don't even want to, but I need to for my job because I want to move to a new country, but they just can't find motivation. Do you have any tips for finding motivation?
Yeah. I think motivation is something we cannot depend on. It's really just
Mm,
having the discipline, because motivation comes and goes. If
yes.
I only did the dishes when I felt motivated, or
Yes.
went to the gym when I felt motivated,
Yeah.
I would not
Yeah. That's
do
so
much.
good. That's
So
so good.
I think it's just something that we have to try to work on. Our discipline is like a muscle. And when you
Hmm.
start doing it, you feel proud of yourself. You feel good
Hmm.
about
Hmm. Hmm.
how disciplined you are, and just start small.
Yeah.
Maybe just say, okay, for 15 minutes a day, I'm going
Hmm.
to focus on
Hmm.
this. And then once
Hmm.
you're focused on learning and studying,
Yeah.
you're not even thinking about like, do I really
Yeah.
want to do it? Do I not? You're just
Hmm.
getting it
Doing
done.
it.
You're
Yeah.
just
That's
doing it. So
good.
like, don't think,
Hmm.
do.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
before you know it, it'll be done. And then you'll feel proud, and that will
Yeah.
keep you going.
Inspire new habits. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
new goals. I love what Luca Lampariello, he also says attaching your language learning habits to another habit. Like after I brush my teeth, I study Portuguese for 20 minutes every day.
Yes.
Like that's what you do. So you link it to another habit that you have and you make
Mhm.
it as easy as possible for yourself. So you have your study material in the same spot every day. You know what you're going to be studying. And then all you have to do is just go sit in your chair and do it. Or maybe I used to do Pimsleur in a lot of languages, and it's listening to your native language and then listening to your target. And it's just about a half hour a day. So I used to do that walking outside.
Yes.
So then I
Yes.
wouldn't even have to think. I would know on my daily walk today, I'm doing Pimsleur. And
Yes.
then it's attaching it and linking it to another habit that will help grow and improve your discipline.
Yes. I love that. I think in the book Atomic Habits, they call that like habit
Yes.
stacking. You like
Yeah,
stack
that's
one
right.
on
Yeah.
top of the other. And that's,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, while you're folding your laundry or while you're
Mm-hmm.
walking your dog, these are things that you have to do anyways. So
Yeah.
use that time and maybe
Yeah.
plan it out in advance so you don't have to make
Mm-hmm.
the decision. But
Yes.
use that time to listen to a podcast in English or watch a YouTube video or do the next lesson in a course that you're working on. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it has to be part of our daily routine and doing a
Mm-hmm.
little bit each day
Yeah.
far outweighs, and this is scientifically proven, far
Mm-hmm.
outweighs doing like 5 hours straight on a Saturday.
Oh, yeah,
So
exactly. I think I'm a huge fan of a little bit every day
yeah,
because then you'll look back. You might not notice your progress in a week or in two, but month to month and year, especially year to year, you'll notice a huge difference in your language learning
yeah,
journey.
yeah.
Yeah. That's so good. Well, are there any last words or tips that you want to share just to help or inspire people to keep learning English in 2025?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just like how you view yourself. I think some
Mm,
people think of learning English as something that just is in the classroom. It's not really like part of who they are. And
hmm.
you have to carry that language around with you. And at first it feels like this like heavy, uncomfortable like backpack or, it's like this weight,
Yeah.
like, oh, it's so
Yeah.
exhausting. I'm so tired.
Yeah.
But over time, like the more you just carry it with you, like throughout your day, if
Hmm.
you're just thinking of things in English and listening to things in English and just practicing a little bit in English, over time, it's almost like the backpack gets lighter and eventually it comes
Mm.
off, but it's just like part of who you are. And
Yeah.
and I think we just have to really first believe that it is
Hmm.
it is 100% possible. It's like
Hmm.
just believe in
Yes.
yourself. Don't waste your time and energy comparing yourself to other people or
Mm-hmm.
finding, excuses to not do what you want to do. Um,
Yeah.
do a little bit each day, just like that
Hmm.
1% improvement.
Yes,
Yes, goes a really
yes.
long way.
Yeah.
And eventually you'll feel really proud of what you're doing and
Hmm.
how far you've
Hmm.
come. But we have to just take that pressure off, I think.
Yeah, that's good. Celebrate those little
Yes.
victories, be proud of ourselves, and just keep going forward in the journey.
Yeah, and have fun. I think in
Yeah.
celebrating the
Yeah.
tiny victories is like really, it's not about getting to the finish line because there is
Yeah.
no finish line. Like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
no
I
like, I
know.
learned it.
I know. I
I'm
know.
done.
I
No, you
know.
will have to keep improving. Otherwise, it's like if
Yeah.
you don't use it, you will lose it. You're like
Exactly.
either getting better or you're getting worse. There's no
Yeah.
just staying the same.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
but when we have fun doing
Hmm.
it, it's
Hmm.
just like you want to do it. You don't even need to have motivation or even
Yeah.
discipline. It's just like this
Yeah.
is part of who I am and part of my life.
Yes. Yes. It's so good. We talked about so many amazing things. Thank you so much for
Of
being here and
course.
for all of your tips. Can you just share again where people can find you?
Yes. So I have a website. It's askjackie.com.br.
Hmm.
There's like slash curso.
Okay. I'll be
And
sure to link
yeah, I can leave
it.
it down below. I have an online course. It's a bilingual course. So people can watch the lessons with explanations in Portuguese,
Amazing.
with a lot of examples comparing English and Portuguese. And then they can
Hmm.
also watch a lesson about the same topic, a little bit more advanced, entirely in
Hmm.
English to get that input and also
Oh, that's
review
awesome.
what they've
Awesome.
learned. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, as you know, it was kind of something that I'm like, this is what I would want if I were a
Yeah.
student. But
Yeah.
like I always say, it's not enough to just do a course or to read a book.
Hmm.
Like you really
Hmm.
have to make it part of your everyday life.
Hmm.
And that applies to
Hmm.
everything. If you want to
Yes.
be like a
Yes.
true learner, of
Yeah.
anything. Like if you're a
Hmm.
nutrition student, or
Hmm.
you need to
Hmm.
apply that to your everyday life and just make it a
Yes.
part of who you are. But I have a YouTube channel, and I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. So
Yay.
yeah, lots of things. Grateful to be here.
Perfect. Perfect. If you guys aren't already following Jackie, be sure to follow her on her social media, which I will link below as well. And thank you again so much for being here. I had a
Thank
lot
you,
of
Camille.
fun.
Yes, so much fun. All
Bye,
right.
guys.
Bye.